For the final time this season, Toronto FC2 plays the role of host at the Ontario Soccer Centre. This afternoon, it's the fourth and final installment of the 401 Derby as the Young Reds host their fellow Canadian expansion rivals. Booba Job is back in the starting lineup, look to build off his strong play as the season winds down. Raheem Edwards has seen a string of solid results. See him back in the starting 11 as well, and Rashawn Phillip will be making his first start for Toronto FC2 this afternoon, and there's a new face in goal as well. Hello everyone, welcome to the Ontario Soccer Centre in Toronto. I'm Matt Antonio, joined by Terry Dunfield. This afternoon it's Toronto FC2 and FC Montreal. Before we get to the starting 11, let's send it down to field level with Chantal Blais for an update on the weather conditions and field conditions for this afternoon's match. Chantal?
Thanks, guys. It's an absolute scorcher today. A couple hours ago, there were fire trucks here to cool down the field because this turf was definitely heating up. The weather is going to have to be something both teams take into consideration, and I won't be surprised if they do have scheduled water breaks. It's going to be a hot one.
All right, thank you, Chantal. Let's take a look at Toronto's starting 11. As mentioned, there's a new face in goal for this afternoon. It is Phil DiBernardo. He is making his USL professional debut. His only appearance for TFC2 this season came in the friendly match against Roma on July 28th. As mentioned as well, Rashawn Phillip, he'll be starting up front with Mo Babouli. This is his first start for Toronto FC2. He has made one appearance so far this season, that coming last week, and Raheem Edwards, as mentioned as well, back in the starting 11. Let's take a look at FC Montreal's lineup now. In goal, it is Jean-Alexandre Filion, and they will have their leading scorer, number 49, Alessandro Riggi, back in the lineup. He has 7 goals this season. He missed their most recent match with a 1-game suspension due to yellow card accumulation. Last Sunday, Toronto drew 2-2 with the Charlotte Independents. It was one of their better matches that they have played this season. They got the opening tally in the 10th minute off a Charlotte own goal when Skylar Thomas sent a cross into the penalty area. Charlotte equalized less than 2 minutes later off a corner, sending the game 1-1 level into the half. Jay Chapman gave Toronto the lead, but they were unable to hold it. A late penalty to Amika Ononye was converted into the equalizer in the 88th minute and gave Toronto a somewhat disheartening draw. So Terry, I ask you, after nearly a week off to think about letting those 2 points slip away, how does that last match affect Toronto's mindset coming into today's contest?
It's not easy. They drew, but mentally it'll feel like a defeat after conceding to a dubious penalty just before injury time. But there were so many positives from last week against Charlotte. It's important that they don't dwell on the result. For me, it was Toronto FC's best home performance all season. They dominated Charlotte on all areas of the pitch. But what I was impressed with most was the character Toronto FC showed after conceding the penalty. In injury time, they created 3 fantastic opportunities, including a wonder strike from Manny off the bar. It could have been easy to sulk after conceding a penalty like that. Yeah,
it was definitely a strong performance for Toronto after conceding that equalizer. I want to ask you about the dynamic of this Toronto-Montreal rivalry. As I mentioned, it's the 4th and final installment in this 401 Derby this season. Toronto got the first win back in their second game of the season. It was Montreal's first ever game, that game back in Montreal. Montreal responded with a win here in July and then a win in Montreal in August. So Toronto has an opportunity to sort of pull it level on the season. As someone who's played for 2 Canadian MLS franchises, speak to the dynamic of playing a fellow Canadian rival team.
There's bragging rights on the table for both players and fans, and players know it means a lot to fans. So coming into the game, there's a little bit of extra spice. And for me, I always tackled that little bit extra harder in a derby.
Now, one player that has caught your eye over recent weeks, let's talk about Raheem Edwards. You've said consistently over the broadcast over the last few weeks that one of the terms that you use frequently is that he would be a nightmare to play against, and that speaks to his work ethic and his tenacity. So just tell us again exactly what you've seen from Raheem Edwards.
Matt, yeah, Edwards is a player I really like. He works his tail off. He's not afraid to get stuck in, which is sometimes a little bit unusual for wingers. He's quick, he's athletic, but probably the one thing missing from his game that'll take him to the next level where he can knock on Vanny's door is that final ball or adding a goal to his game. If he can do that, then he's ready to move up to the next level.
Yeah, he's got a good left foot, a good strong left-footed shot. Sometimes just a matter of being able to get it on target, get it where he wants it to go. He does have 1 goal this season. Another player that you were impressed with last week, we mentioned him off the top, is Rashawn Phillip. He's making his first start here this afternoon afternoon. What can we expect to see from Rashawn Phillip? What did you like last week?
He's come up through the academy, so it's always great to see players come up that way. He stepped in, he's strong, he's physical, he holds the ball up well. He's a little bit similar to a player I watched last night, Kyle Laren, he's a Canadian international, plays down in Orlando. He brings other players into the game. But for me, he's got a huge upside, and as long as he keeps developing the way he is, I think he's another one for the future.
Yeah, we'll touch on that Team Canada match a little bit later in the broadcast. This is a lineup that today does not have a whole ton of veteran experience. We've seen in recent weeks a lot of Jay Chapman and Chris Manella and the like, but those two, along with Jordan Hamilton, are up with the first team tonight as they will play in Seattle. The first team missing Josie Altidore, Sebastian Javinko, and Colin Warner, so they need some bodies up there. So with that lack of sort of veteran experience from those players in the lineup, we've still got, you know, a Skylar Thomas, a Mark Anthony Kay, but a little bit of a younger lineup here this afternoon. How does that change the dynamic for Toronto?
The one thing I like about the lineup still, it's a pretty similar back four, so they've got a structure from back there to play from, but it gives the opportunity for one or two to step up. Manny's another player I like. Had a great shot off the crossbar at the end of last game. Hopefully he can continue that good form.
Yeah, that's Manny Aparicio. He was used as a substitute last week and did have a strong showing. Should mention that the players available off the bench this afternoon, Quillen Roberts is the backup keeper, just getting a little bit of rest for this afternoon. Toronto will still have 4 games remaining this season, one of those being this coming Wednesday as they travel to Charlotte for a sort of revenge match against the Independents, a team who is in the thick of a playoff race. Also on the bench this afternoon, Sal Bernal, Massimo Mirabelli, he brings that goal-scoring presence up front. Daniel Fabrizio, we haven't seen him in a while. Robert Boskovic, Malik Johnson, another player who has been out of the lineup for the past few weeks, and a newcomer who is up from the TFC Academy, who's been added to the TFC2 player pool. That's Andrew Diaz. He wears number 43. We'll see if we get any of Andrew Diaz this afternoon. I know Jason Bent likes to work in his young players who have been called up, where it likes to get them in maybe the final 15 or 20 minutes of a match. We'll see the teams heading out onto the pitch right now, and we'll have the national anthem shortly. A couple of notes quickly on Montreal. After a stretch of 6 wins in 7 games, they have not won in their last 3 contests, and they haven't scored a goal over that stretch. So Terry, that's potentially something that Toronto can take advantage of. It's a team that's maybe struggling for confidence a bit right now.
Yeah, I think in a derby game though, that all goes out the window. Your form a little bit. Jason Bent in the changing room will be having the guys hyped. They're ready to go, and it's now up to Toronto to step out there and take the bragging rights.
We'll have more on this matchup following the national anthems. It's a rivalry that goes back over a century. It's Toronto and Montreal, always a big setting, whether it's the Maple Leafs and the Canadiens, the Argos and the Alouettes, the Blue Jays and the Expos, or the parent clubs of these two teams, FC Montreal, the Impact, and Toronto FC. Always a big game when Toronto and Montreal square off, not only in sports, almost in life and politics. It's a big rivalry for the Canadian people, and we should be expecting another solid game this afternoon between these two rivals.
Matt, when the fixture schedule in the MLS would come out, a lot of players would look for New York away or the LA Galaxy, but this was the one fixture I used to look straight for. I love playing in Montreal and when they come to Toronto.
For Montreal, their last victory was on August 12th, a 2-1 home victory over these Toronto FC2 Baby Reds. And they won the only previous game at the Ontario Soccer Centre this season, a 1-0 decision back on June 21st. It was a goal from Zakaria Masudi in the 54th minute that gave FC Montreal the win on that afternoon. It is, as Chantel mentioned off the top of the broadcast, a very, very hot afternoon for football. And as Chantel mentioned as well, would not be surprised to see scheduled water breaks here this afternoon with the humidity, expecting temperatures of around 37 degrees Celsius. Terry, as a former player, was this the type of conditions that were just a nightmare to play in?
Yeah, these are difficult conditions. Normally you face them down in Texas or deep on the East Coast, but it'll be tough for the boys. It's a little bit harder on artificial surface like this as well. It absorbs the sun a little bit more than grass might, but hopefully the boys will get a water break and they won't start out at a crazy tempo. It's important when it's like this that you keep the ball and you're patient and you don't go flying around everywhere. Otherwise, you'll just be out of steam come the second half.
At the end of the day, though, we have to be absolutely thrilled that we're into the first week of September and it's still 37 degrees outside here in Toronto. We're going to be longing for these days when we get the deep freeze in the middle of February again, if this winter is anything like it was the last couple of years.
Selfishly, for us, it's brilliant. I was in the lake this morning.
Well, it is the long weekend here in Canada. It's the Labor Day weekend, so I'm sure a lot of these fans, players might have some plans over the rest of the weekend, as it is a holiday on Monday, and it is sort of the unofficial end of summer here in Canada. But the weather certainly doesn't feel like it wants to end summer just yet, and we're extremely thankful for that. Toronto will possess the ball first. We've got Mo Babouli and Rashawn Phillip up there. They will be in the all-red kits for their final home game of the season, as they have been in every game this season, with the exception of one road game in New York where they wore the black kits. Montreal will be in the all-blue kits. They'll be moving from left to right on your monitor.
Having Phillips up front will give Mo a partner. He's been playing up there on his own, so that might give him a little bit of help. It looks like TFC have changed from a 4-3-3 system to a more conventional 4-4-2.
We saw that a lot earlier in the season, a 4-4-2 from Jason Bent's side. He's been very impressed with the way his team has been playing of late, the last month or so maybe, and this is a nightmare for Toronto. It's an own goal in the first minute of the match, a miscommunication. Wesley Sharpie tried to play it back to his keeper, Phil DiBernardo, and for his first USL start, that is just the absolute worst case scenario for this young keeper.
Wow, Matt, I've been in soccer for 20 years and I've never seen anything like this. The ball goes out to Sharpie, tries to lay it back to the keeper. He gets a little bit too much on it. Keeper's in no man's land, it goes into the back of the net.
Is that maybe just mishit, too strongly hit from Wesley Sharpie, or does DiBernardo need to be a little bit deeper and able to account for that?
No, I think that one's on Sharpie, unfortunately, but maybe he was ready for the derby. It was maybe a little bit too tense.
So an own goal in the opening minute, and Toronto will be fighting the uphill battle right from the get-go here this afternoon.
As an away team, that's perfect for Montreal. They can now sit back, and it's up to Toronto to bring the game to them.
And was just in the midst of saying that Jason Bent has been so happy the way his team's been playing in the last month or so. And then Wesley Sharpie goes and scores an own goal. But jokes aside, it has been a strong month of football, despite the fact that the points in the standings don't necessarily reflect it for Toronto FC2.
Performance-wise, Toronto FC have been first class in the last month. As you said, they've not been able to turn that into results, but they've played some great stuff. And that's important for developing young players, that they play the right way. At the beginning of the season, Jason played a similar system what the first team were doing, played a 4-4-2 with a diamond in midfield. And I think he went to Vanny and he said, look, I want to play a different way. They went to a 4-3-3, and I think they've played some good stuff under that.
Controlling here, Louis Belon-Goyette. Now to the close side, there's Charbonneau. Alt-Simen. Unable to get past Manny Aparicio. And out onto the flank for Raheem Edwards. Aparicio. Now Marc-Anthony Kaye. Aparicio. Pabuli. Got Sharpie on that right flank. And Job will bring it down. Relatively uncontested. There's Aparicio. Pushes in. No red jerseys close to that ball. Easily taken by Montreal. And Onye is there to meet it in the back. And once again, Montreal player down on the pitch. This time Toronto will recognize it and send it out of bounds. And
this could be a sore one. Sometimes when you see a player go down without an opposite player near him, it can be serious.
The training staff of Montreal, not yet.
No, it just looks like a sore finger, maybe.
Talking with 1v2. You've got to talk early. You drop in his face, he goes for the ball.
I believe that's on the far side, number 47, Jacques Hamon.
Sort it out.
I always think the worst when I see a player go down on the artificial surface when they're on their own.
Played in by Montreal and respectfully played back out of bounds, giving Toronto back the possession they had prior to the injury.
You have a tactical area, I do. That's good, right there where you are. Thank you.
Got some discussion down here on the near side. One of the Montreal coaches and the fourth official, Alexis Vaughn. And looks like she's trying to tell the coach that he's got to remain inside his designated area. There's a cross in from Belon-Goyette. Pulled down by Montreal. There's a strike from Dominguez and is blocked by Osorio. Babuli has to fight off a couple of Montreal players, and he is brought down by Marco Dominguez. Quick free kick taken by Toronto. It comes onto the near side for Raheem Edwards. Edwards plays it in for Phillip, and nearly the same play as the goal, but this is offside. This one was more to the left of the goal than dead on, but it's clear that Toronto wants to try and push Rashawn Phillip through the back line of the Montreal defense.
Yeah, great play from Phillips there. He stretches the back four by trying to get him behind. In previous games, we see Babuli trying to get the ball to his feet and run at the Montreal back four or whoever they're playing. Phillips offers something different. He offers that run in behind, which really can hurt teams if you time it right, as we saw on the goal.
Slimane works around Marc-Anthony Kaye, will push towards goal. Amiko Nonye stands his ground very well there. Slimane goes to the turf, and this is now controlled by Hamon. Unable to get around Raheem Edwards, and Toronto will start the counterattack. That was a great bit of defending there from Amiko Nonye. Almost like in basketball, taking a charge, just stood there and waited for Slimane to sort of run right through him.
The Montreal winger did really well there, and he's running straight at Anonye there. We're all waiting for his trick, but the trick never really came out. Anonye didn't stick a leg out, and as you say, almost his presence was enough to win the ball back. I think he's a little bit wary too now after conceding a penalty in the last minute in the last game.
Absolutely. Edwards will go up there, and he's whistled for the foul on Charbonneau.
Good leap from Edwards there. He's a little bit unlucky, I think, to concede a foul.
There's a weak strike from Sukunda, easily handled by Di Bernardo.
That strike comes from Job just switching off on the free kick. Montreal's clever. They take a quick free kick, and they're able to get in. It's important. Job concentrates on his defensive duties.
Right foot of Jonathan Grant plays that back towards his keeper. Filion. It comes down for Hamon, but he's not able to handle it. And Skylar Thomas. Skylar wearing the captain's armband this afternoon in the absence of Chris Manella. We've seen him sport that on occasion this season. When Manila was away at the Pan Am Games and up with the first team earlier in the year. Mark Anthony Kay. Thomas, and we'll just wisely push that up the field with some pressure coming from Montreal. And this is sent out by Charbonneau.
Good decision from Skyler there. It would have been easy to overplay. Sometimes it's just best to put it in turn Montreal defense.
Thrown in, finds Osorio. Now Thomas. Job. Out onto the wing for Sharpie. Osorio. Osorio trying to push Edwards through and just a little bit too heavy on that ball, and Edwards not able to run it down.
I think there Edwards would have been better to pull out wide.
Dangerous high kick there from Jacques Hamel. It's right in the area of Skylar Thomas. Thomas able to win it away.
Montreal center forward looks like he could be a handful. He's almost like a mini Drogba.
Skylar Thomas. Now Wesley Sharpie. Sharpie working in towards the middle. Will concede to Manny Aparicio. Feels the back pressure from Hamel. Now gets it back again from Mark Anthony Kay. Surrounded by 3 blue jerseys, and he's turned it over. But turned over right back, intercepted by Babouli. Aparicio goes up and able to momentarily win that away from Dominguez. Dominguez gets it back.
Good advantage play from the referee there. Ooh.
Segunda jumps up in the air and pushes that forward. Now Aparicio. Okay. Aparicio.
It's important he doesn't dwell on it there. Montreal are playing quite a high line. They're spacing behind.
This is play down for Philip. Philip once again trying to get behind the Montreal back four. Did it for a moment, but excellent defending there coming from Meletem Guia.
I think I'll go with just center half, but very good defending.
And now Dominguez down on the pitch and will need some medical attention.
I think that came from that one-on-one battle with Edwards just previously. He did really well to hold Edwards off.
Well, we've got a break in the action. Remind you to follow at USL on Twitter to become a league insider, join club conversations, and have a chance at exclusive giveaways. And this is going to be an unofficial water break here for the players, as with Dominguez down on the pitch. Players from both sides will head to the benches to grab a drink. And certainly all players are susceptible to cramping here this afternoon with these high temperatures. Very easy to become dehydrated.
Yeah, no, it's important not only today, but last night you took a lot of water on board.
Break in the action allows us to take a water break as well. Important for us to stay hydrated too. In case you're just joining us, we're level at 1 here at the Ontario Soccer Centre between Toronto and Montreal. It was an own goal from Toronto's Wesley Sharpie 15 seconds into the match that beat rookie goalkeeper Philip DiBernardo, who was out of the goal to receive a pass from Sharpie, and it just sailed right over his head and into the goal, and it gave Montreal a 1-0 lead. But Toronto responded quickly, and it was Rashawn Phillip with his first professional goal and his first USL start for Toronto, slipping through on a wonderful through ball from Anthony Osorio and putting it past the keeper, Jean-Alexandre Fillon. And it's a 1-1 level score line right now, 21 and a half minutes into this match. And Bubacho streaking down that right side, looking to get a piece of it. Maybe got a piece of the keeper as well.
The Montreal keeper does really well. He reads it. It's not easy on this AstroTurf because at times the ball sits up, but good timing from him. It must have gone off Joe because it looked like a Toronto throw-in to me.
I think he did get a piece of it as he was sprinting by. Wesley Sharpie will let this one roll out. Does well there to throw it past 3 Montreal players right to Mobabuli. His cross looking for Edwards is quite out of reach.
Right idea from Mo there, but it's important, as we spoke before the game, to keep the ball in this heat. Now all of a sudden Toronto FC are chasing again.
Thomas goes up with Aitzleme. There's Babuli. Babuli is onside. Babuli, wonderful save by the keeper off his shoulder. Babuli had a little bit of a difficult angle to negotiate with there, but it was another great opportunity for the Toronto forwards.
Great timing from Babuli to get in there. Keeper does well to come off his line. Maybe we could have seen a little dink over the keeper, a more composed finish.
It will be a corner to Toronto. It's the first corner for either side here this afternoon. And Babuli will take it. And many red shirts push forward. We see the tall frame of Skylar Thomas in the area. Is played in relatively low by Babuli. And cleared by Montreal. Sharpie races up to keep Toronto in possession. Now Osorio. Aparicio. And again Sharpie.
Toronto don't want to be caught 2v2 at the back like this.
And luckily for them, it's played quite long and out of bounds.
I want Fuman West. You and also. It's a box.
You can hear Jason Benton screaming from the sideline. That's the coach's worst nightmare. On your corner, a team breaks down and scores against you. It's important at the back you've got an extra guy or even 2 when defending.
Edwards, one touch, finds Aparicio. And he just hammers this up the pitch.
He plays a good 1-2 out of trouble there. It was the right idea. He just couldn't get enough bend on it to Joe.
And that's around the area that we've seen him cough up the ball on a couple of occasions. So definitely he wants to play it safe and not get caught and create a turnover in that position again.
I don't mind him making mistakes like that when he's trying to positive pass, but you don't want to be caught on square passes or when you're dwelling on it like that.
And Edwards is able to take advantage of this loose ball. Edwards, a left-footed shot, and didn't get a lot of power on that. And Jean-Alexandre Filion makes a somewhat easy save for him. And Raheem will be disappointed in his effort on that one. He's capable of so much more with that left foot.
Toronto FC pressure causes the turnover. Not great play at all by Montreal. Edward gets it onto his favorite left foot, and he just doesn't hit it cleanly.
Phillip trying to power through the Montreal line here, and he obviously got a touch from a Montreal player. They've been whistled for a foul here, and a good spot for a free kick for Toronto. Looked like they thought about taking it quickly and catching Montreal off guard. The referee thinking better of that, and Toronto will instead set this up with Mobabuli.
Matt, those are the opportunities over the last month that Toronto have had quite a few of and haven't been able to capitalize.
Babuli lofted in and punched away by Filion. Right to Osorio. Osorio will send this in for Skylar Thomas. He's onside, plays for Aparicio. His cross comes down for Kay. And that looked like a handball in the area for Montreal. It goes uncalled by the official and will be a throw in here for Toronto as they maintain the pressure. Terry, did you see a handball there?
I think Toronto had a good shout there. It was unintentional, but when it hits your hand like that and it stops a goal-scoring opportunity, penalties can be given for that. A lot less was in the penalty that Toronto gave up in the last game.
Well, they've maintained the control and possession here, and they've won themselves another corner, and it will be Babuli again. Marc-Anthony Kay and one of the Montreal players there. It might be...
There we're seeing the intensity of the derby game.
So anything drops out, you're first.
Not able to catch the number of the Montreal players having words with Marc-Anthony Kay, but now the referee's having words with both of them. And the referee clearly trying to get a hold on this game early. He knows it's a rivalry game as well, and that the tempers will be on high alert for everybody. And that this game will have a little bit more bite to it than a regular match. Babuli will play in. Near post, it's
Osorio. Good corner. We just need a player running to the near post.
There's a header from Thomas. It's a goal! Skylar Thomas, his second of the season, and Toronto is up 2-1. And Terry, you have been talking about that since you joined our broadcast crew, getting Skylar Thomas in a position to get a header off a set piece.
Osorio here whips a great ball in on the second phase, gets his second assist. There's not a whole bunch of pace on it. Skylar generates power on it, puts it down in the bottom corner. Fantastic header from the big man. As we said, Matt, we've seen that in his own box lots. It's great to see it now come to fruition in the other box.
So 28 minutes in, we've seen 3 goals, 2 from Toronto, and they don't appear to be done just yet.
Great reaction from Toronto, especially after conceding such a nightmare goal at the beginning.
And aside from that goal, they really have not looked, and even in that goal, they did not really show any signs of weakness in defense, but their back four has been playing quite solid here so far this afternoon.
No, the back four has been solid. The Montreal winger here, number 57, he's caused 1 or 2 problems without a final product. He'll be one that the Toronto back four still need to keep an eye on.
There's Marc-Anthony Kaye, able to just get around Marco Dominguez and find Bouba Job. There's Rashawn Phillip. Thomas. Osorio. Osorio playing a through ball, looking for Phillip, and just a little bit heavy on that. And Filion reads it well and will come out to smother.
2 great passes from Osorio.
Edwards takes advantage of a poor goal kick there from Filion. And Toronto will repossess. It's Babuli. Edwards. Babuli. Aparicio. Marc-Anthony Kaye. Well played for Osorio. He looks to push Edwards through. Taken down by Montreal. Nike is a proud partner of the USL. Follow at Nike Soccer on Twitter for all the latest Nike Soccer information.
Correction on the TFC 2 goal, number 33.
I believe we've got a scheduled water break here at the half-an-hour mark of the opening half. And it's been tremendous pace from both sides, really, but Toronto have been the stronger side, and I don't think it's close.
Yeah, since the horrible own goal, Toronto have definitely taken control of the game. I've been impressed with some of their through balls, some of the passing. Osorio's had 2 great assists today, a little bit similar to his older brother.
I was actually just going to ask you that, if there are any comparisons that can be drawn in terms of style of play, any things that you see out of Anthony that he might have picked up from Jonathan.
That range of passing similar, also that awareness, which is tough to coach, where you know players are around you. He's also got that.
There was something that I wanted to ask you just before Toronto scored. We've been speaking about the sort of the lack of finish for Toronto at times this season. They've been putting themselves in good positions to score, but just not able to put it past if it's that 1v1 with the keeper. As we take another look at the Toronto goal, is that something that you can coach, that finishing ability, or is that something that's just more you need a natural talent out of the players?
A natural talent helps, but with anything, hard practice definitely. After training, spending time on the training ground, working on finishing from corners, finishing from through balls, different angles, that can only help. But a natural finisher, maybe Phillips is one. Similar to a player Toronto FC had a couple years ago, Danny Kuvermans. He wasn't the best player, but he was a natural finisher, and those guys get paid the big bucks.
Yeah, and from Rashawn Phillip, he has been pretty solid this afternoon again. He saw limited minutes last week coming off the bench, and this is his first start. And he's, you notice he's a big frame out there, but he moves well for a guy with his size frame, and he is able to use his size to his advantage.
No, he looks strong and powerful. Like you say, he's got a change of pace. Not only is he taking his goal well, but he holds the ball up too, which is important.
We're back underway here in Toronto after our first scheduled water break. The first half, we're about 32 and a half minutes in. Montreal now looking for an equalizer. They were fortunate to have one here in this first half. It's an own goal from Wesley Sharpie, 15 seconds into the match. And Toronto now struggling to clear, and this one will, fortunately for them, go out to the right side of that stick, so it will be a throw in here.
Good pressure from Montreal. They put a good ball in the box. They just needed the center forward to gamble and get across the center half.
Thrown in right into the area. Marc-Anthony Kaye heads it forward. Boboubuli tries to do so as well. It comes down for Dominguez. He swings it out to the left side. And swung in and easily handled by DiBernardo.
Good positive goalkeeping from the debutant. You can hear him shouting from here, which is great. That vocal command of your own box, that puts strikers off.
And that's something that's important for these Toronto defenders because it's something that they are very used to. Whether it's Quillen Roberts or Alex Bono, the goalkeepers on this club this season are very vocal. And so even just as a rookie, a young player, cannot afford to be timid in their first appearance. And there's Rashawn Phillip, and that is going to be an offside flag up on Toronto. Just ahead of the play was Rashawn Phillip. If he had been able to hold just a fraction of a second longer, him and Boboubuli were out on a glorious chance.
Yeah, no, I think Cade just delayed that ball just a split second long, which I think he was offside, but looked like Toronto FC were in then again.
We've got our first substitution of the match, and there's been a nagging leg injury for Yassine Slimane, and so he has been subbed out, and number 67, Frederic Ravel, will enter. There's Charbonneau. And there's Ravel in his opening moments, getting his first touch. And now he's done well to win it back for Montreal as well. Aparicio sticks a leg out, and Charbonneau runs into it, takes a tumble, and a call against Aparicio there. An easy one to make for the official.
Yeah, definitely a foul. Good play from Charbonneau. Kay just earlier wins a great tackle and then just again dwells on the ball just a touch.
So Montreal with an opportunity here. And it's going to be the newcomer, Joao Gravel. He's standing beside it. Master Kacher in there as well. Kacher swings it in, but it's easily cleared out by Toronto. Montreal repossesses. But the danger for now averted for Toronto. Ononye goes up and heads forward. Here's Boboubuli.
Good hold-up play from Boboubuli there.
Job. Phillip tries a little one-touch reversal to Boboubuli.
That shows his confidence is high, trying a little trick like that, but that's where you need your center forward to hold the ball up. You can hear him getting berated by Jason Bent on the bench.
All USL regular season and playoff games are available live, free, and in HD on YouTube. Connect with the USL YouTube channel today. Skylar Thomas not taking any chances. Sends this up the pitch and will force Montreal to come at them again from a further distance. There's Belon Goyette. His chip in, easily taken by Thomas. A little bit of a wind here, and that high ball gets caught up and pushed back. And now played back to the Montreal keeper, Filion. We've seen a few mishits and maybe miscommunications or just bad passes from this Montreal back four, and Toronto's been able to take advantage with some deep interceptions.
I think some of that can be, sorry Matt, I think some of that can be down to a sticky pitch that maybe they're not used to. When it's this hot, the pitch is really dry and the ball doesn't run as well as it might on grass or a different surface.
And for that reason, that's why we heard Chantel reporting prior to the game that there were actually trucks out here before the game to sort of water down this pitch because it was just so hot that they needed to cool it and prevent it from drying out, like you said. Skylar Thomas, we're 37 minutes exactly played here in this opening half. Toronto lead by a score of 2-1. Boboubuli waited just a half second too long for that to come to him. It was intercepted by Montreal. Marc-Anthony Kaye able to get it back for Toronto. Skylar Thomas.
I'd like to see Job getting the ball a little bit deeper. He doesn't need to be getting the ball there.
Thomas again. Push through for Phillip. Aparicio. Thomas takes a deflection and will come down easily for Temguia. Charbonneau. Excellent play there from Raheem Edwards to dispossess, and Toronto's on the attack. It's played through for Phillip. Phillip with another strike, and this one's saved by Jean-Alexandre Filion. Great work from Edwards, great work from Phillip. It just did not result in a goal.
This is the tenacity we talked. This is the tenacity we talked about from Edwards. He does brilliant to win the ball back. Slides Phillips through here. He rolls the defender. He doesn't quite see the Toronto attacker coming up on his right. That might have been the better option, but great strike. Good play from.
Now here's Hama. LaJoie Gravel has that poked away. Charbonneau. That's lofted in, and that's an offside flag up on LaJoie Gravel. It was a nifty little looking play from Montreal, but offside. And
it was, Matt. Good bit of interplay on the top of the box from Montreal. First time we've seen that in the game today, but Toronto at back four holds a good line and he's offside.
And Toronto has really neutralized the Montreal leading scorer, Alessandro Ricci. I think I've only called his name once thus far, number 49. He's wearing the captain's armband. He's the left front forward here for Montreal, and they just really have not given him any opportunity. And Montreal has not been able to send the ball his way very often.
No, a lot of Montreal's attacks have come down the right side, but he has scored 7 goals for a reason, so Toronto will need to keep an eye on him.
And they've certainly assigned Wesley Sharpie the task of making sure Alessandro Ricci is neutralized this afternoon, and so far it's been done well by the Toronto back. There's Edwards. Edwards maybe a little bit theatrically goes to ground there. It's a good bit of defending from Temguia, and Montreal will start the counter. Here's Anonier. Now Thomas. Babuli. Thomas. Now Osorio. Osorio taken down from the back there by the Montreal player Hamon. And he's won a free kick. This is the second time we've seen Osorio down on the pitch in a little bit of discomfort.
Yeah, he catches a sore one after the play there. The Montreal player doesn't mean to, but he follows through. It's great awareness from Osorio. He sees the Montreal player, gets across him, earns a foul, and he just clips him there by accident.
Oh yeah, looked like he may have stepped on him on his lower back. Definitely accidental there from Hamon. Osorio's had a very strong opening half. He's got the assist on both of Toronto's goals.
Yeah, he stepped up today with Manella missing. You've not a compliment to him. Toronto FC haven't really missed Manella in midfield.
That's definitely high praise. As we've seen that Chris Manella is absolutely a strong presence in that midfield for Toronto, and his absence earlier this season for that extended stretch through July was most certainly noticeable. But today, as you mentioned, not so much. It's a good showing from Osorio so far this afternoon.
Also, young Manny, he's played well. He's definitely played his part.
Pushing forward, Bellon Goyette. Anonier providing the defense. There's Ricci now. Ricci crossing in, and that's nearly a second own goal for Toronto, as that's off the foot of Skylar Thomas and rolls wide of the goal.
It's good play from Montreal here down the left-hand side. He beats Sharpie to the byline. He cuts it across. Big Skylar does well to block out the cross. He doesn't know that there's not a Montreal attacker behind him, and he does well to just put it around the post.
How disheartening would that have been for Phil DiBernardo to have conceded a second own goal in the first half of his first pro start? Can't even put it into words.
That one would have been easier to swallow, though, because I think Skylar has to deal with it.
Definitely. It's a good play from Osorio to go out and meet the ball. And now Marc-Anthony Kaye, not taking any chances, will lift this high And this takes a bounce off the turf and stays in play. And Toronto's done well to win back. There's Job. Play through the middle for Babuli. He will flick it right up the flank for Job. He goes long strides, runs onto it. He has Phillip and Edwards with him. The cross, not great, comes down for Babuli. Babuli looked like he stepped on the ball there as he was trying to dart forward.
Yeah, one too many touches from Mo. But wow, Job looked like a 100-meter, looked like he wouldn't look out of place in a 100-meter final there.
Absolutely, it was a great run from him down the right flank.
Fantastic stride.
That's what I noticed as well. Big, long strides, really propelling him forward with a great pace. Now Aparicio, as things settle down a little bit here. Osorio, got about a minute and a half, a little bit more than that, until stoppage time. Osorio, Babuli, Sharpie. Played in for Babuli. Babuli is through. His shot is deflected and will go out for another Toronto corner. I believe this is their 4th of the afternoon.
Sharpie plays a good ball into Babuli here. Great first touch and change of pace past the Montreal defender, but he just hesitates and it gives him a chance to get back.
Difficult angle for him there as well.
Yeah, he could have brought out his chop there maybe.
He'll take the corner now. Played low. Going up is Thomas again, and it hits the post. Skylar Thomas, that close to a second goal in the first half.
A drilled corner comes in. Great ball for Skylar to attack. He attacks it with power, and he's just not able to get it inside the post, but fantastic header from Skylar.
That whole play looked like it was almost developing in slow motion. It was a bit of a slow approach from Babuli. It looked like it was going to be a little bit short, and Thomas was able to go up and get it, and then wasn't a lot of pace on it after he hit it, and it was just off the bar.
That would have been a great time for Toronto to score just before halftime.
Would have opened up a...
The 4th official has indicated
Very nice
a minimum of 3
2-goal lead for
minutes
them.
has been added. 3 minutes has been added.
I will have to double check this at the half, but I don't believe TFC2 have ever scored 3 goals in a match. That would have been a great first half for this side. It's their final home game of the regular season, and they're gonna certainly want to give their fans who have showed up to the Ontario Soccer Centre this afternoon a treat. Alessandro Ricci plays that over the goal. We had 4 minutes of added time.
Good ball from Charbonneau in behind there. He snatches at it a little bit. The top goal scorer, he could have maybe brought that one down.
Yeah, quick scan at Toronto's previous results. They have never scored 3 goals in a match.
Matt, I think 3 or 4 goals in this half, they probably maybe even deserved. They've had some good chances. They've had some good patient play in midfield, and they picked the right pass. I'd like to see an opportunity drop to Phillips again, see if he can stick another one in.
Montreal looking for a late equalizer here in this first half. There's a strike, and it's well over. That was taken by Louis Bellon-Goyette.
Good strike from Goyette. He takes his space. It's important a Toronto FC midfielder challenges him there.
Toronto will certainly take their time here at the conclusion of this first half. It's been now 46 and a half very, very hot, intense minutes for Toronto. And, you know, everybody just wants to get into the locker room at halftime and cool off a little bit, regroup before coming out for the second half.
We've seen it on a few occasions over the last month or so that Toronto have put together a good first half and haven't been able to put together a good second half. It's important that now they've got the opportunity to put 90 minutes together and see this game through.
That's done well by DiBernardo for a good save there as the first half winds down. DiBernardo still taking his time. Now we'll boot it out. Wind is blowing a little bit into the face of the Toronto keeper right now. It's knocked a couple of balls down. Of course, that will play into the advantage for Toronto in the second half if the wind stays in the same direction.
Sharpie will be one player who's happy going into the changing room at halftime, 2-1 up.
And there's the whistle for the end of the opening half. And Terry, you were sort of alluding to it there, but it feels like for each of the last 3 or 4 games, we've said that's the best first half we've seen from Toronto this season. And I don't think you'd be wrong saying it again for this afternoon's first half.
Yeah, it was another great performance. They scored 2 goals, created probably 3 other good opportunities. And that's great against your rival as well.
And as we mentioned off the top of the broadcast, a little bit of a younger side here this afternoon for Toronto, but the youngsters that they've got in the starting 11 have not looked out of place at all.
Yeah, sometimes bringing in a younger squad, players play with exuberance and a little bit of freedom. They're not as static as what veteran players might be. They might take 1 or 2 more chances, and we've seen that today.
Now, also, we've touched on the need to play a full 90. They've played a great 45. What's the message from Jason Bent in the change room here at halftime to deliver that final 45?
It's easier said than done, but carry on doing what we did in the first half. Also Montreal, it's up to them to go and get the next goal. Keep the ball, be patient, and the opportunities will come.
Goals in the first half coming from Skylar Thomas and Rashawn Phillip. For Rashawn Phillip, that's his first goal as a professional, first in the USL. Anthony Osorio has assisted on both of the goals for Toronto. He is at pitch level with Chantel Blais. Chantel.
Thanks, Matt. Anthony, 2-1 after first 45. Overall thoughts on that first half?
Stuck to the game plan. I think we did well. We got 2 goals out of it. We're up at half, and that's what we wanted.
And how do you guys protect the win in the final 45 here?
Just to keep digging and hopefully look for that 3rd goal so we can bury them.
Well, good luck in the second half. Thanks, guys. Back to you, Matt and Terry.
Thank you, Chantel. It's the halftime music blaring quite loudly just as Anthony is starting to deliver his answer there in that halftime interview. It's a 2-1 scoreline. You see the scores there. Rashawn Phillip, Skylar Thomas have Toronto up 2-1. We talked last week about Luca Uccello. He is with the Canadian team for the Under-20 World Cup training, so he is not available for TFC2 this afternoon. But Chantel Blais caught up with Luca earlier this week. We're going to play you part of that interview during halftime in probably about 5 or 6 minutes. So stay tuned for that. Terry and I will be back with the first half highlights and second half action. You're watching Toronto FC2 Soccer on TFC Live.
gunshot means forward. You requested it, so we rewind.
Yeah. Way up. Turn on. Yeah. Look, I got enemies, got a lot of enemies, got a lot of people trying to drain me on my energy, trying to take away from it. With the kid and pray for you. I got crying real life on my day. Going online, part of my day. I got real talking with my family too. I got that can never leave Canada too. I got 2 mortgages, 30 million in total. I got that is still trying to be over. I got rap, but I gotta act like I like. But my acting days are over. For life, yeah. I got enemies, got a lot of enemies, got a lot of people trying to drain me of this energy, trying to take away from it. With the kid and pray for you. I got people talking down, man, like I did. I bought this one a purse, I bought this one a truck, I bought this one a house, I bought this one a mall. I keep buying this place so you keep track of it all. I got people asking me if I can call for the Wi-Fi, so they can talk about the timeline. Show me pictures of their friends, just to tell me they ain't really friends. Ex-girl, she the female version of me. I got strippers in my life, but they virgins to me. I hear everybody talking about what they gon' be. I got high hopes for you, we gon' see. I got money in the course of law, my free. About to call your ass a Uber, I got somewhere to be. I hear fairy tales about how they gon' run up on me, but run up when you see me, then we gon' see. I got enemies, got a lot of enemies, got a lot of people trying to drain me of this energy, trying to take away from it. With the kids, pray for you. I ain't finished, you don't want to hear me say it's a go. You don't want to see win for me or woe. I got real ones living past Kennedy Road. I got real ones with me everywhere that I go. I'm trying to tell you, I got enemies, got a lot of enemies. Every time I see them, something wrong with their memory, trying to take away from it. So tired of saying nothing.
Sitting here with Luca Uccello, number 45 midfielder of Toronto FC2. Luca, when did you decide that soccer was your main focus?
Well, I was 4 or 5 and I had a brother abroad playing soccer in Italy, so it sort of motivated me to do the same. When I was 4 or 5, obviously my parents, they put me into house league, and then I sort of went about the system and I went to rep when I was 7 or 8, and then I just gained a passion for the game that was endless, and I loved everything about it. So.
And who would you say your biggest role model or mentor is?
I would say my biggest role model is either Andrea Pirlo or Francesco Totti, because I think I watched a lot of Serie A when I was young, and it was a very good league back then. And you know, they just inspired me sort of to play with your head up, to be intelligent, to be smart, because although they aren't the fastest guys, they can do damage on the field. So those are definitely my biggest role models, and a mentor for me is my dad and my older brother, because in the end I think you do everything for your family, and to make them happy is a goal for me.
And to touch on family, you're born and raised in Vaughan. All your home games are in Vaughan. How important is the support from your family and friends, and to have them at these games?
It's amazing. I mean, everyone I talk to, there's nothing better than playing in front of your home fans, and especially your family. So I have a lot of family coming to my games, and so they're always asking me for tickets and stuff like that. So yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
And you're just recently turned 18. Have a lot of soccer memories, but if looking back, what would be one of your fondest memories?
One of my fondest memories, I would say it was with Canada, and we actually played against France in France, and we actually drew them 1-1, and we scored a late goal. I got an assist that game. It was just a special experience, and to add, I can also say, like, in my club experience, winning the Nationals was huge for me, because it was my last time sort of thing before I came to TFC, and it was just good to get the championship.
And you did recently play before USL in League One. How was the transition from League One to USL been?
It was good. It's good. I think the players are much stronger, faster, more intelligent in the USL. But in League One, I think it's a good stepping stone for youth soccer, especially in Ontario. So yeah, the transition was different, but I think I'm adapting to it fairly well.
And if you could go back and if you could have talked to yourself before this season, what advice would you give yourself?
Well, I did that, and I sort of said to myself, just keep working hard and just do your thing. If you keep working hard, then results are there. You know, whether it's in the near future or in the long future, it doesn't matter. If you just work hard, things will come.
And what do you think the biggest challenge has been so far this season for you?
I think, well, I'm playing a little bit of a different role this season. I'm playing a little bit deeper into midfield, and you know, all my years I've scored a lot of goals and I've playmaked a lot more. But I think just adapting to that new role, it's tough, but it's always good to learn new positions and be versatile. So yeah, it's good. It's good.
And there's 9 games left in the season. What do you think needs to happen in the rest of the season for it to be a success?
Well, I think just developing that consistency, although we haven't had as many wins as we would have liked to. If we sort of get more wins and strive to make the playoffs, then we can try and win a championship if we get into that sort of situation. So I think just consistency is the biggest thing.
And you have a game tomorrow. Do you have any game day rituals, or take us through a day before a game?
Well, obviously I'm Italian, so I have to have my plate of pasta, white pasta, and yeah, it's just what I do. I put my left sock on my right foot and the opposite the other way. So those are kind of my two sort of things that I do. I don't listen to much music. I just sort of try and focus in and see what I'm going to do on the field.
And with the sock thing, are you at all superstitious?
No, I'm not. It's just I've been doing it for like 4 years now, and I just can't stop doing it when I get on the field. So.
And on a day off, what do you normally do?
I'm just relaxing. Throughout the week, you're training hard and you're working hard, especially in games, and you're giving 100% each and every day. So in order to do that the next week, you have to get your rest in and be relaxed on your day off. So I tend to just relax and chill.
And do you play FIFA at all? Is there any healthy rivalries?
I do play FIFA. I'm not that good at it, but there is some good players on this team, especially Chris Manella is one of them. He doesn't get much challenges because he always wins, right? So, yeah.
And if you weren't playing soccer, what sport would you be playing?
It would definitely be a team sport. I think the team sort of relationship is amazing to have, and just being a part of a team is something special. So it would definitely be some sort of team sport like football, maybe basketball, who knows.
And lastly, what's something about yourself that people wouldn't necessarily know that you'd like them to know?
I mean, I don't really know, but I think on the field I'm pretty intense. Off the field, I would say I'm quite the opposite. So I'm just relaxed, humble, down to earth, stuff like that.
That's Luca Uccello getting to know the Toronto FC2 midfielder, a local product from the Vaughan area, and it's a great opportunity for him when he's off right now with that Canadian under-20 squad, as we talked about last week, Terry.
Yeah, it's a great place to develop. What a fantastic opportunity to play in front of his home crowd as well here. TFC have got a glue of center midfielders. They've probably got 5 or 6 really good ones, but when he's come in, every time he's done really well. He's a well-rounded midfielder. He can pass, he can defend, and a little bit like Edwards, if he could just add a goal or an assist to his game.
Well, Luca Uccello is not here this afternoon, but the guys who are suited up for TFC2 have been very strong in the opening half. Let's take a look at the highlights from the first half. It started out with an absolute nightmare. Wesley Sharpie playing it back for his keeper and right over the head of Phil DiBernardo. It's an own goal for a 1-0 Montreal advantage, but Toronto gets it right back. Rashawn Phillip with his first pro goal in his first ever start. Mobapuli had an opportunity a few moments after that. His header goes just wide. Anthony Osorio with his second assist of the first half. Skylar Thomas on the finishing end of that one with a beautiful header that finds the back of the goal. Raheem Edwards, we cannot stop singing the praises of him. He makes a great steal there, finds Rashawn Phillip. He would have wanted a little bit more on that strike. And then just before the halftime whistle, Skylar Thomas inches away from a second goal of the opening half for him. It's Matt DiNicolantonio here with Terry Dunfield for the call here for TFC2 and FC Montreal. I mentioned in the first half that Toronto FC2 has never scored 3 goals in a match. Correction, they have. Only 2 of them count for them. So Jason Ben with his first half thoughts. Let's throw it down to Chantel.
Thanks, Matt. Jason, 2-1 lead after the first 45. Overall thoughts on that first half?
Overall, you know, it was a horrific start, if I'm perfectly honest. I I think the turf had something to do with that, where it bounced up on West, but the team showed great mental strength to get over that and continue to play football. I think we dominated the first half and created numerous chances where we probably could have gotten the third goal, but all in all, pretty pleased, and we're a threat from set pieces, so we need to continue that.
What will the team need to do to protect this win and carry it to the final 90 minutes?
Well, I've told them in there we can't sit back. We need the third goal. We have to go for the third goal. Obviously, the game and the dynamics change. If it gets laid on and it's still 2-1, then obviously you protect the lead. But our mentality has to be to start the game fresh with a good intensity, and we have to go for that third goal. If we keep the ball moving, then we'll open them up.
Well, good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Back to you, Matt and Terry.
Thank you, Chantel. All jokes aside, Terry, it was a great half for Toronto, and we heard Jason Benton say they need that third goal. They need that third goal. It's something they have never been able to do, is get that third goal. This is probably the best position that we've seen them for that opportunity this season.
That's great positive coaching from Jason to say, yeah, we need another goal. We're not going to sit back and rest on our laurels. So I'm impressed with that. That's good soccer philosophy.
We understand there were some technical difficulties in the opening half, so we'll give you another look at the first Toronto goal. That's Rashawn Phillip, a great through ball from Anthony Osorio. And then Osorio setting up a second with that beautiful pass, finding the head of Skylar Thomas. So Anthony Osorio, who knew, playmaker extraordinaire for TFC2 this afternoon so far.
Yeah, he's looked at cultured midfielder, that left foot sweep of his. We touched on it in the first half, a little bit similar to his brother. He's got a great range of passing, and for the first time in a little while, TFC now are sticking these chances in the back of the net. So
we are just moments away from getting the second half underway. We can pass along to you that the Montreal player Yassine Slimane, who was subbed off in the opening half, does have a bit of a groin strain, we have discovered. So he is obviously done for the day, and we hope that it's not a more long-term injury. And we're going to see a second substitution here for Montreal. Masta Katcher, number 53, is being subbed off, and Charles Joly, number 63, he's got 3 goals for them this season. He was tied for second on the team with those 3 goals. So he is an offensive presence that Toronto will have to deal with in the second half as they hope to continue to fend off the Montreal attack that did not look very strong in that opening 45 minutes.
No, I'm not surprised to see Montreal making a few changes. I think they've changed their system as well. They hit another striker up front, hopefully to put more pressure on the Toronto FC back four.
Second half action is underway. Once again, we're at the Ontario Soccer Centre in Vaughan. It's the final home game of the regular season for Toronto FC2. I'm Matt Antonio. Terry Dunfield is to my right. Chantal Blais is with us as well. And a quick strike there from Charles Joly. The opening 20 seconds, he's making his presence felt with a shot that's easily handled by Phil DiBernardo.
Great start from Joly. Runs at the Toronto FC back four. Skylar could have probably stepped out to him. You'll see it here on the replay. He runs at the back four. Skylar could have been out a little bit quicker, get speed in a little bit too easily, but good hands from the young goalkeeper.
So we'll roll all the way out for a goal kick.
Matt, that's probably Montreal's best chance.
Yeah, I would say so as well. Like you mentioned, they didn't have many moments where they looked dangerous in that first half, and you certainly got to tip your cap to the Toronto defenders as well.
Not just the defenders, but the midfield, and also the strikers have worked hard too to get the ball back.
I'll amend my statement to say credit to the Toronto players for the defensive play in that opening half. There's Alessandro Rigi. He was held in check in that opening 45. This one is out off the leg of Marc-Anthony Kay, I believe, and it's going to be a corner for Montreal. So right away we see Montreal is taking it to Toronto a little bit more here in the second half than what we saw in the first.
The Montreal coach probably at halftime had a few strong words with them, and the players have reacted straight away in this half.
Montreal is winless in their last 3 contests. And this own goal that Toronto scored was their first goal in 4 matches. So they're still struggling to find the back of the net themselves. That's Played through by Jolie as he sticks with it and moves it up. Gets it past Bully, but he's...
Good opportunity here, 3-on-3.
Counter for Toronto is led by Edwards. Played through just out of the reach of Rashawn Phillip. He will be able to run it down, however. There's Booba Job. Edwards. A little bit of a miscommunication there with Manny Aparicio. He wanted the ball played to him on the run, and Edwards delivered it behind, and Montreal counters. Marc-Anthony Kaye will intercept and start it back up for the Reds. Babuli, one touch looking for Aparicio. Intercepted by Montreal. There's Ricci. Now Segunda. Zachary Segunda.
49.
Ricci.
To the ball.
Cross from Segunda, and that's a heavy ball. And Marc-Anthony Kaye will pull this down well.
Great
and now
play.
Aparicio.
Great play from Kaye there.
Kaye. Aparicio. Babuli. That's Kaye. I think some players were looking for an offside flag there. It never came. And Marc-Anthony Kaye sends that off the keeper and out for a corner.
Kaye does really well there. He wasn't happy with his wasn't happy enough with his first touch. He does great to get a play out of trouble. He carries his run forward. I think if Phillips goes for it there, he's offside, and then Kaye just sort of has a bit of a nosebleed in the wrong end.
Mobabuli will walk this over to the corner on the far side of the pitch. The second Toronto goal was not the result of a corner kick, but sort of a build-up after a good corner kick. Thomas heads that back down. There's a strike, and it's a goal! Rashawn Phillip, his second, the first time in TFC2 history they've scored 3 in a match. This did take a deflection, but it should be credited to Phillip.
Great header from Skyler. It goes back to Phillips. He hits it sweet as a nut. Great volley to the bottom corner. Second goal of the game for him.
So now Jason Bent delivering some instruction to his troops. He's got that third goal that he's wanted. Do they change up the strategy a little bit here and put a little bit more emphasis on defense here, as Montreal's certainly going to be coming at them strong?
No, I think it's more of the same. They've played really well for 50 minutes. Can they keep it going? There might be more opportunities as well when Montreal start to commit more players forward on the counterattack.
So it is correctly awarded to Rashawn Phillip, his second goal of the game. And with that goal, he now moves into third place on the TFC2 scoring list as that ball comes right up to us. Mishandled. Fans, don't forget to visit the new USLsoccer.com, get the latest news and live stats, and check out the new social media hub. So as I mentioned, Rashawn Phillip in just his second game, now third on TFC2 in goal scoring with 2. He sits behind Jordan Hamilton with 3, and Mobabuli, who's in first with 4 goals.
Straight up the charts. I was impressed with what I saw in a short cameo last game, and today he's added the goals to it. Great strike there. That's such a tough technique to keep the ball down.
And this is quite a find for TFC2. Obviously, you know, he's been with the academy and been putting in his work all season, and that's been recognized, and he's earned this promotion. But it's almost like, where has this guy been all year? He's clearly got that goal-scoring touch that they've been lacking for much of this season.
Yeah, I think this is what they were hoping for from Jordan Hamilton, so great play from him.
That's easily handled by DiBernardo. So some young players for TFC2 taking a shining role here this afternoon in their final home game of the regular season.
I like also though, Phil, he's got more to his game. He's not just a goal scorer. He can hold the ball up, and as we touched on a little bit earlier, he's physically he's a very big boy, but he's also got a good change of pace.
There's Bubajob running down the right side. He runs onto it. That nifty footwork is able to play free for Aparicio. Tried to return the pass, and it was deflected. Now Wesley Sharpie maintains the Toronto control. He will cross in, and it's blocked by a Montreal defender and cleared, but met by Osorio, and he takes a knock to the face there, and there's going to be a caution here for Jacques Hamon.
That looked a sore one. It was a clash of heads. I don't think I'll give the Montreal center forward the benefit of the doubt, but you'll see on the replay here, hopefully, that they clash heads. Ooh.
Caution in the 53rd minute for FC Montreal, number 47, Jacques Hamon. Number 47.
It would be a tough blow for Osorio, who has played so well this afternoon. He's got 2 assists in the match, and you know he'd love to build off that and finish this game strong. But this could be a difficult situation for him, getting a contact there. You always worry about, you know, concussion or some other kind of head injury. It looks to be all right so far, but we will definitely keep our eye on Osorio for the remainder of this match.
There's definitely a protocol now in the MLS and USL for concussion. Looks like he's getting the thumbs up there. But he's definitely stepped his game up today with Chris Pinella being away, and it'd be difficult to drop him for the next game.
That next game comes on Wednesday in Charlotte as TFC2 takes on the Independents as they continue their push for a postseason berth in the USL's Eastern Conference. So it's a big game for Toronto as they want to continue to play the role of spoiler, if you will. Dooley lofts this in, headed away. Looks off the head of Marc-Anthony Kaye, comes to Bubajob. What will he do with it next? Job looks like he wanted to curl that on goal with his left foot, and I think he mishit it. Didn't go nearly where he wanted it to.
No, not the cleanest strike, but good positive play. A lot of players wouldn't have tried that on their bad foot. Maybe Job shouldn't have tried it.
He certainly does a lot with his feet in the build-up to a shot. Certainly more than any other player on Toronto. What exactly is he trying to do with that?
He's trying to just get that yard to create that yard of space, whether it's to get a cross in or a shot. Sometimes for me, he can be a little bit more direct. He takes the easy option and he'll go back to the fullback or play it into the midfielder. If I'm a fullback and I've got Job running at me, the last thing I want him doing is taking me on.
Become a fan of the USL on Facebook for exclusive league news and interactive content. We're going to have a free kick here from Montreal, just outside of the 18-yard box, right at the corner. And this is in a good position for them to do some damage with.
66! Come on, left! Left!
Jason Penn yelling at Bubajob to go cover number 66. That's Charbonneau. Lofted in, and it comes down, and it's easily handled by DiBernardo. Looked like the Montreal player was almost a little bit surprised for it to land where it did.
Yeah, the ball just eludes Skyler there, and then Montreal player, like you say, Matt, didn't expect the ball to come to him.
That was Jonathan Grant. He's a defender, so a little bit out of his element, I guess you could say. And it looked like he thought it would be headed before it reached him, and wasn't able to do much with it once it landed. DiBernardo with the easy save. Now Toronto pushing forward. Sharpie just out of the reach of Bubajob. That's out of the reach of Rigi, then will be a Toronto throw-in.
Oh, good position there. Get it.
Toronto certainly don't look to be sitting back too far just yet as they keep pushing it up. We see Wesley Sharpie continuing to push up that right side and trying to find Bubajob.
Good play from Osorio there. Good composed play. Keeps the ball for Toronto. And you'll see them go out the other side here.
just out of the reach of Babouli. Ball remains loose, and Marc-Anthony Kaye will pick up a foul there. There's Grant. Now Dominguez. Intercepted by Job and unable to dispatch to Babouli. Skylar Thomas steps forward and pushes that up for Job, who's able to chip it over the head of Grant, and it's run onto well by Tanguia to prevent Job from breaking in on goal. Now Babouli. Job. Babouli again. Thomas. Nice little bit of a fake out there to bait Hama. Maurizio. His pass through. Intercepted. There's Frederick Gravel. Jolie. Out for Ricci. Heavy first touch, and Sharpie is there to collect for Toronto. And now this will be cleared to midfield. Handled poorly by Grant.
If I'm honest, Matt, I've been a little bit disappointed with Montreal in the final third. I don't really see how they're going to break Toronto FC down. Maybe that's because of Toronto FC's defending. We'll give them some credit, but Montreal's not been too creative in that final third.
And unable to create there, and it will be sent out of bounds. Montreal able to win it back quickly, however. And Thomas gets back and sends us out of bounds again. The pace of the play has certainly slowed down quite a bit here following that third Toronto goal. As Thomas, that's Ononye.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of the goals taking the stuffing out of the game a little bit, also the heat, and the first half was quite a high tempo as well.
This comes to Jolie. He's unable to get a foot to it. His first touch was with the head, and cleared by Toronto. Babouli. Not able to connect with Phillip.
When the game gets like this and a little bit scrappy, it's important now a player gets his foot on the ball. Chris Manella was quite good at that.
We're going to see a pair of Toronto substitutions shortly. Robert Voskovic and Andrew Diaz have positioned themselves to enter the match.
Track!
Marc-Anthony Kaye steps in and pushes back out towards midfield as that Montreal attack just really not able to get that final pass, that final touch to put themselves in a good goal-scoring position. Sharpie headers this, comes right to Secunda, and his shot is punched over the goal by DiBernardo, and will go out for a Montreal corner.
Good play from Montreal there. On the second phase, it comes out to the midfielder. Good strike. A ball the keeper expects to save. He tips it over the net. Good controlled strike here. Needs a little bit more to beat the keeper from there, but good assured touch over the net from the goalie.
There's a strike by Dominguez, easily handled by DiBernardo. Aparicio. Osorio. Kaye. Stolen by Montreal, lofted in for Ricci. He headers it down. There's a strike from Gravel well over the goal, and we're going to see a trio of substitutions here. Two from Toronto, one from Montreal. be Boskovic in for Anonye. So Amigo Anonye's afternoon is done. And Marc-Anthony Kaye is on his way over as well. So it looks like Andrew Diaz will be coming in for Marc-Anthony Kaye. So the left side of the Toronto pack line will be changed.
Both the players coming out have had good, solid games. It'll be a little bit disappointing to come out in a derby like this when you're winning 3-1, but they can be happy with their performance.
Substitution by TFC.
For Andrew Diaz, this will be his professional debut, his first action in the USL. He was just added to the TFC two-player pool from the TFC Academy earlier this week. And as I mentioned off the top, Jason Bent likes to get these players right into game action once they've been added to the pool. Doesn't want to waste them sitting on the bench, and he will give them an opportunity.
Yeah, so what a great time to come into a game 3-1 up. It couldn't be better.
Substitution for FC Montreal, entering the match, number 50, Marco Dominguez. Entering the match, number 79, Fabrice Kazuma.
Here's Boskovic. Now Diaz. Edwards. Philip. Bully. Aparicio. Aparicio still. He's taken down. Referee says play on. It's good defense there from Mele Tenguia. That's played in, and just a little bit too heavy of a touch. That's out of bounds.
Great play from the Montreal attacker there. He wins the ball at the end of his on the edge of his own box. He runs 90 yards to the other end. Unfortunately, he overruns it, but good play from him.
Next 5! Sky, West! Next 5! Switch on!
With young players and not a whole bunch of veteran presence on the field, your mental concentration is really important at this stage of the game, that you don't switch off, because a lot of the players won't have been in this situation very often.
There's Diaz. Philip. Babuli. Now Skylar Thomas. Fans, don't forget to follow at USL on Twitter. Become a league insider, join club conversations, and have a chance at exclusive giveaways. Exciting time of the year for USL as we get down the home stretch and the playoff race intensifying. Unfortunately for both of these clubs, they will not be finding their way into the postseason in 2015, but they have made tremendous strides throughout the year as expansion clubs. And lots to look forward to next year, and hopefully at this time in 2016 they'll be knocking on the door as well. As played out by Boskovic, it will be a Montreal corner.
Also, Matt, don't forget these players also are fighting to get into their first team at their own clubs as well.
Absolutely. And we know that the brass from both sides will watch these games closely, observing and taking note of who might be able to help those clubs in MLS. We know for Toronto FC, they're right on the brink of their first ever playoff berth.
Yeah, it's great times at the first team level for Toronto FC, but with the roster freeze, you never know, a few injuries or a suspension, a few of these players could find themselves in the first team, or Phillips all of a sudden starts scoring goals for fun here. He'd be a great substitution.
That's something that the first team has not had trouble this season doing, is scoring goals. When you look at the likes of Josie Altidore, Sebastian Javinko, even when Michael Bradley has been in, and then you add, you know, Hercules Gomez, and it's a pretty potent attack for TFC2 right now. They actually have the highest goals per game in the MLS, so it's certainly that has trickled down into what Rashawn Phillip is doing here this afternoon.
Yeah, no, we've been watching the boys at the top. It's great. Toronto FC to train at the same training ground at Downsview with the first team, so he's able to watch them all the time. But even with all those barriers, all he can do is keep scoring here, and eventually he'll turn Greg Vanney's head.
Looks like Skylar Thomas has, we had a little bit of delay here, has picked up a little bit of a knock. Getting looked at by the trainers, and we'll have to come off here. And the referee getting an earful from the Montreal bench about time wasting and stuff like that.
Yeah, I know Montreal at this stage of the game wants the ball in play, wants the game at a high tempo, and this is exactly what Toronto want as long as Skylar's okay. The onus is on Montreal now to bring the game to Toronto.
Thomas heads us forward. Gravel. It's taken by Diaz for Toronto. That's Edwards who loses control. Skylar Thomas back on the pitch now. Good chance there. I think that was Charbonneau, and nothing coming from the official there as he takes a bit of a tumble in the area.
Good pressure from Montreal to keep the ball alive. Strike wasn't the best. Easily could have turned into a penalty. Skylar's just, you see him just stick his leg out. Good tackle there, and he just pulls his leg away. Not the cleanest strike with his left foot.
Job working his way in. There's Phillip, Rashawn Phillip. He needs one for the hat trick, dishes off instead for Edwards, and he puts it just over the goal.
Fantastic play from Job. He cuts inside. He attacks the we'll see it here on the replay. Great play from Job. He attacks the back four there. Picks the right pass. Phillips could have let the 2 goals go to his head and shoot there. Makes the right play. Goes out to Edwards. Edwards wrong foots the defender and gets a shot off.
And there will be
to keep his head down. Sorry.
No hat trick here for Rashawn Phillip this afternoon. He's being subbed off. Malik Johnson will come in. Malik Johnson hasn't played in a few weeks, but he is, I want to say he's similar to Raheem Edwards. He's a player who works hard and creates opportunities for himself and his teammates, and he's got an opportunity here this afternoon to get about 20 minutes of work in.
It seems to me, Matt, all the hard work in the academy is starting to pay off a little bit. It looks as though TFC2 is quite deep in every position at the moment.
Ready, support! Good, move on.
And that depth can create competition within each place. And your Manilas and Chapmans, though they will come back in, they'll be watching the result today. And it's not easy to drop somebody after they've had such a good performance.
And that internal competition is definitely something that the coaching staff is looking for. And we saw this year. There was a big stretch in July where they were missing a few players because of, you know, Pan Am games, and Quillen Roberts was with Team Canada for the Gold Cup, and there was a noticeable drop-off in play just because the players that they had were untested at this level, and the goal is to be able to have, you know, a few players at every position who there isn't a noticeable drop-off when a player has to miss, because you're going to have some of your better players move up to the first team. And that one from Booba Job curls just wide. It went past 3 Montreal defenders and the keeper, and just wide of the goal. And keeper Filion is a little bit disappointed with his defenders right now.
Good set piece here from Toronto FC. Job's got a good angle to whip the ball in there. The communication's not great between the Montreal players. They just sort of think someone else is going to take it. Too bad a Toronto FC player didn't gamble on it. But as we were saying earlier, Matt, if you don't have somebody pushing you, sometimes you just rest on your laurels when you know you're going to play every week.
Absolutely. That's crossed in for Ricci. He gets a left foot to it. A difficult shot for him to maneuver for sure, and it's gone wide, and we'll go out for a goal kick. And this is foreign territory for Toronto. Very rarely this season, I think this may even only be the second game this season that they've had a 2-goal advantage, and it would be both times against Montreal. And this is almost like a shoe on the other foot kind of situation, with now we see it's them, you know, taking as much time as possible with the free kicks and the goal kicks, and and stuff like that. And it's certainly a great feeling for these players, no doubt.
Yeah, you're seeing Toronto being a little bit savvy here. Also, it's important that they keep the ball, make Montreal chase. I've been on that team chasing. It's no fun when you can't get the ball back. And then when you do get it back, your legs are tired and full of lactic acid.
Sharpie working 1-on-2, and it's Alessandro Ricci who's able to come back. Now Thomas. Sharpie. Johnson. Johnson pushed down there. And he's won a foul, a free kick for Toronto.
Good ball, good ball from Sharpie into Johnson there. Johnson picks the ball up in the pocket, and you'll see him here draw the foul. Good awareness to see the Montreal player coming in behind him.
And it will be Babouli to take the free kick here. This comes down for Edwards, and it's not kept in. It sort of deflected and off the chest of Edwards, and then he wasn't able to run it down, and it goes out past the end touchline. Another a little bit of a different look from TFC2 on these set pieces than what we've seen throughout this season to date, but
yeah, TFC's look dangerous on their set pieces. The delivery from Mo's been brilliant, and as we've seen, Skylar's got his head onto a couple of them.
And that's something that Jason Bent actually touched on in his halftime interview with Chantel, that he said we're dangerous from set pieces today, and he's been absolute. Maybe he knew something, that they've been trying something different in training over the last week, and was impressed with what he saw.
When goals are tough to come by in open play, that puts even more importance on your set pieces. So that's something they've worked hard on all week, and it's great when it comes off.
We have our second half scheduled water break here, as the players from both sides will get some refreshment. We'll take the break in the action. To remind you, Nike is a proud partner of the USL. Follow at Nike Soccer on Twitter for all the latest Nike Soccer information. As Terry and I have been talking about throughout the course of the season and the broadcast, it's a fantastic learning opportunity for these two clubs, expansion clubs, but it's great to see soccer expanding in Canada at a professional level. And now both of these clubs, and of course Vancouver out west, have their own USL team to use as an affiliate, and there's a great place for Toronto for players to go straight from the academy up to the USL club and to continue developing these homegrown players as they strive to reach the first team.
It really is, Matt. Now there's a path from the academy to now the USL to the first team, and that's something in Canada we've not had over the years. There used to be a reserve team, and playing reserve games, there wasn't much on the line. There wasn't a league. There weren't playoffs on the line. And this is fantastic for these young Canadian players. And it's great to see 80 or 90% of the players out there being Canadian.
Yeah, and it's definitely something that, most, if not all, of the TFC and soccer fans that I spoke to in the lead up to this season, they mentioned that it's great that now you have, there's a place for players like a Jordan Hamilton or a Mo Babouli to stay within the system after being developed by the academy, that they can have the TFC philosophies sort of imprinted on them in the young stages of their career, and they learn to do it how the first team brass want things to be done.
Exactly, and you can only train so much. You need to be able to show what you're learning and training in games, and this is a perfect opportunity. Unfortunately, at the moment in Canada, we only have maybe Ozario or Tybert playing in the 3 Canadian teams. So hopefully with the 3 USL teams, this will promote more Canadian players into the first teams of these clubs.
Ashton Morgan has gotten some look with the Canadian team as well. I know he was in the last qualifying round in their 4-0 win against Dominica at BMO Field. Terry, you were actually doing the color for the Canada game last night, a 3-0 win over Belize in the World Cup qualifying. What caught your eye from the Canadian squad in that game?
Yeah, it was a good game from Canada. They as you say, won 3-0. Rickett scored 2 goals. Atiba Hutchinson scored 1 to make it 3, which is an important goal because they now go to Belize on Tuesday. but it's a huge tie because if they get past Belize, they now go into the group stages, and they're that much closer to Russia. But for Benito and the boys, it was so important that they get a good result at home, because you don't really know what you're sometimes getting yourself into when you go down to Central America.
A couple of substitutions here. FC Montreal bringing in number 42, Novello Yoski, and number 74, Mele Timguia is subbed out for TFC. Raheem Edwards, another strong game for him, is subbed out in favor of Massimo Mirabelli. We are into the 78th, almost 79th minute here in Toronto. It's a 3-1 lead for TFC2. The first time in club history they have scored 3 goals in a match. And they will look to round out their...
It's felt, though, Matt, over the last 4 or 5 games that the goals were coming, and it was just a matter of time. They've been creating chances, and all they needed was a goal scorer, and Phillips today stepped up.
Rashawn Phillip with 2 goals in the match. Skylar Thomas has one as well, as Toronto looks to end their home campaign of the 2015 season with a W. Been a little bit, you could say, frustrating at times for Toronto at home this season. They played 2 games at BMO Field. They picked up a win and a draw in those 2 games, and then they went their first 4 matches here at the Ontario Soccer Centre without a win and without a goal in those 4 matches as well, before finally defeating Charleston 1-0 on a late goal from Skylar Thomas. And have picked up a couple more results along the way, but I'm sure Jason Benton would have wanted a few more W's from his side in the home portion of their season. Is played up. Bouba Jobe tries a bicycle kick, and it's deflected off the keeper, Filion.
Yeah, the ball comes into Jobe there. It's in that difficult spot in between the center half and the keeper. There's not a lot of communication for them, and it lands to Jobe and athletically tries an overhead kick.
Perhaps with a 2-goal advantage with 10 minutes to play, you can try to be a little bit more creative than you might be in a tighter game, where you want to go with a more conventional tactic, I guess you could say. Sharpie throws in for Babuli. He'll whip that out to the left side, looking for Johnson, but it's well out of reach and goes out for a throw-in.
Good initial turn from Babuli there, but he just overhits it. I think it got caught in the wind a little bit as well.
There's Gravel. Being chased down by Boskovic, crosses in for Ricci, blocked by Sharpie. This will ricochet to Diaz, and he will whip it up the pitch.
Great counterattack from Montreal. They get in behind, and we see why he's been their top goal scorer. Comes across to him, strikes it sweet as a nut with his left foot. Great block from Sharpie, making up for his own goal there a little bit.
And don't forget, all USL regular season and playoff games are available live, free and in HD on YouTube. Connect with the USL YouTube channel today. Alessandro Ricci failing to connect on that shot, sending it over the goal.
Good play from Ricci again there. He uses the overlap as a dummy, cuts inside and on his right foot, strikes it well. He just gets underneath it. It might have sat up on him on the turf a little bit.
And to follow up on the availability of these TFC2 games, in case some of our fans are new towards the later part of the season or have forgotten, since there's been only 1 road game since the beginning of July, that the road games for TFC2 are also available online, and they're available on torontofc.ca. It won't be Terry and myself bringing you the call. You'll be connected with the home team broadcast. And on that note, we welcome all of our viewers in Montreal today following FC Montreal. So this is our final broadcast of the season, and I guess you could say, fortunately for us, that it's been a solid showing for Toronto. And while we're on it, want to thank all of our technical and production staff. You hear myself and Terry and Chantel every week, but there are many other people that put in much more work than we do to bring you this broadcast. So thank you to all of our production crew: Cassandra, Kyle, Travis, Leor, Brady, John and Victoria on audio, our camera operators, Armando, Ellie, Roberto, Alex, and Alicia. who have done great work for us this season. So a tip of the cap to all of them for delivering such a great product for us this season. Still 7 minutes to go here in Toronto. TFC 2 with a 3-1 advantage over FC Montreal. And for Toronto, Terry, at this point, it's definitely just a matter of playing out the clock. They know they don't need any more goals, and they've been solid enough in defense that they can feel good about not conceding 2 in the final.
Yeah, at this stage,
minutes.
they don't need to press forward and commit too many numbers. Over the last couple of minutes, we've seen a couple half chances for Montreal, and if they were to get one, that would make a real nervy ending to the game. But today, Toronto FC have shown great character to come back from that unfortunate own goal.
Good challenge there from Boskovic, and a counter from Toronto. Looking to push forward for Bouba Job. That's Malik Johnson with it, but his pass is intercepted by a Montreal defender. Johnson now trying to force the issue, but it's deflected out off him, and will be a goal kick for Jan-Alexandre Filion. Daniel Fabrizi will get some action here this afternoon. We haven't seen him in a number of weeks. We know he was battling an injury earlier this summer. And so Daniel Fabrizi will return to the lineup, and it will be Skylar Thomas who will draw out. He hands off the armband. It's going to be Manny Aparicio to put it on. But another great performance from Skylar Thomas, and he had a goal and he hit a post as well. So an aspect of Skylar Thomas's game that we don't often see was on full display here this afternoon.
Good game from Thomas today on both ends of the pitch. Fabrizi is actually a player I played with when I was here at TFC a couple years ago. He came to spring. He came in early as an 18-year-old to spring training camp in Orlando and looked quite good.
Former product of York University and their athletic program. Mirabelli, cross in, looking for Job. A little too high for him, and this will roll out for a goal kick for Montreal.
Job's been full of running today. I think he's covered every blade of grass out there.
Every blade of artificial turf. That's an offside flag up on Massimo Mirabelli. Easy call to make. I think everybody in the stadium knew it was offside, and I would wager Mirabelli knew it as well before the call was made.
Must be nice for Mirabelli to come into the game at this stage. Normally he's brought on and he's chasing the game.
Come on, Bouba!
He's brought on as sort of a, when Toronto's looking for a last-minute equalizer or winning goal, and he had delivered one of those a few weeks ago against Richmond, giving Toronto the victory. As played in for Jolie by Ricci, but it's just out of reach of Charles Jolie. Pounced on by Phil DiBernardo.
Good play from Ricci there. Good tenacity shown. Just a little bit heavy on the pass.
Segunda pushes up for Jolie. Charles Jolie. Daniel Fabrizi providing defense. And there's Boskovic with a nice play to tap it off the foot of Fabio Morelli.
Good defending from Boskovic. He reads the cut back, steps up and wins the ball.
Ricci pushing forward, has Morelli. There's Gravel. He's able to get around the keeper, and he tucks it in. Frederic Gravel, a little bit of a harmless looking play from Montreal, and now it's just 3-2 with just over 3 minutes to play.
That's going to make an interesting last 5 minutes. Good bit of play from Montreal. He makes a run in behind the center half here, shows good composure to go past the keeper, and at a tough angle is able to slide it in.
That was nearly an impossible angle for Frederic Gravel. I didn't think he was going to be able to do it, but he does slip in his 3rd goal of the season. And now Toronto will have to be a
87
little bit more careful.
FC Montreal, number 67, Cedric.
Now maybe they'll press a little bit more.
Number 67.
Mirabelli taken down there. Good sliding challenge.
Yeah, they don't. I don't think they want to be pressing. They need to sit back and be tough to beat. You don't. Manny doesn't need to be diving in there in that half.
A little bit fortunate here. The pass from Montreal fails to connect, and they will take their time on this throw-in. Andrew Diaz.
Yeah, you can see the Montreal coach scratching his head there. At this stage of the game, you don't want to kill the tempo with a silly mistake like that.
They still won't be able to get possession back, as that is out off a Montreal player. So Diaz will throw in again. Johnson. Once again, out for Toronto throws. They continue to just move a little bit farther up the pitch with each attempt. Osorio taken down there, wins a foul. Toronto will likely take their time here. Now down to about a minute and 15 seconds before we get to stoppage time. We've seen a number of substitutions here in this second half and a couple of injuries, so I imagine it will be a relatively lengthy stoppage time. I'd wager probably 4 minutes.
Yeah, I think we'll see a few minutes of injury time here. Montreal, you might not be able to see it on the stream, but they're playing into a ring here, so it's not easy to get down to the other end.
Foul is called there on Bouba Job, so Montreal will get the opportunity to push forward.
It's great to see Fabrizi out there, but I think Jason Bent wouldn't mind having Skylar Thomas back out there at the moment.
There's Ricci. It's played through for Jolie. Offside flag is up.
From here, it didn't look like there was much in it. That was a great ball. Slid through the Toronto FC defense by the Montreal player.
DiBernardo will take his time.
Applying some Central American tactics
The
here.
fourth official has indicated a minimum of 5
minutes added time here. Toronto will have to defend for 5 additional minutes to hold off a Montreal attack. As Montreal looks for that equalizer. It looks like Toronto had it on cruise control for most of the second half after going up 3-1. But a late goal here from Frederic Gravel has pulled Montreal within 1 and made things a little bit more interesting than Toronto would like. And now one mistake could cost Toronto. That's played down, and this will be headed up by Job, and now DiBernardo will jump on it.
Good defending from Job. He gets back and helps his fullback out there.
And Terry, you sort of alluded to it, as much as I'm sure Jason Bent enjoys being able to put some of his younger players in with a 2-goal advantage. Now he's got some of his young players in trying to defend just a slim 1-goal lead.
Yeah,
it's a great learning experience for them, but it might give Jason Bent some heart palpitations.
Yeah, no, ooh, good ball.
That's done
Good
well
goal
by DiBernardo.
Good goalkeeping by DiBernardo. He's read a lot of those through balls well. But for Jason Bent, a young Canadian coach as well, he wants to put one over his rivals, Montreal, as well.
Montreal leads the season series 2-1. A 1-0 victory here on June 21st and a 2-1 victory in Montreal on August 12th. Toronto had a 2-0 victory in Montreal back in March. Toronto trying to level the season series at 2. It's the 4th and final installment of the 401 Derby. Ricci. Lofted in. DiBernardo will handle it easily again.
Not a great ball from the Montreal player. That was a good opportunity to really whip a ball in. He's got under it and hung up in the air. Good hands from the goalkeeper.
And that's another aspect, you know, a young goalkeeper, his first professional start. And he's being put in a situation where he might be called upon to make an important save.
Yeah, he's had a solid day, the young keeper. Couldn't have done much on each goal. But if Toronto FC is able to hold on here, he'll be more than happy with his day's work.
There's Babuli. He has Mirabelli with support. He's able to stop that up, and this will be a throw-in for Toronto.
At this stage, it can be frustrating to watch, but Toronto FC, rather than trying to score, they'll play to get at the ball in the corner, as shown by Mirabelli there.
Referee not happy with how it was done the first time. They'll try again. Toronto will happily take a second attempt. Woolley again will try and just keep possession in the corner. And unfortunately for him, he's carried it out. And now a little bit of shoving with Novello-Yoski.
I think we might have seen a yellow card there.
Yep, there's the yellow card to Babuli. And that, for him, actually is going to cost him. He was on a list of players who was one yellow card away from a one-match suspension for yellow card accumulation, so he will be out of the game on Wednesday in Charlotte.
Yeah, that was a cheap yellow card for me, whether it was from talking or hacking away at the Montreal player, but you don't want to miss a game like that.
About a minute remaining here. 5 minutes of added time. Toronto holding a 3-2 advantage.
Good header from Young Diaz there.
Thrown in. That's headed on by Jolie. Fabrizi back in defense. And Diaz now will hammer it up the pitch. This goes out of bounds. Referee will likely start looking at his watch shortly as we've come close to that 5 minutes. And there it is. It's a 3-2 victory for Toronto FC 2. It is a victory on their final home game of the regular season. It's the first time in franchise history they've scored 3 in a match. And definitely one of the more complete games we have seen from Toronto FC 2 this season, Terry.
Keyword complete. They've seen the 90 minutes through, did really well, showed fantastic character to come back from that early blow of the own goal. Osorio stood out for me in midfield, 2 assists, composed play, rarely gave the ball away, every time found a red with his pass. Very impressed with him.
2 assists from Anthony Osorio. It was a win in the USL debut for Philip DiBernardo. A goal from Skylar Thomas and a pair of goals from Rashawn Phillip. I think we touched on this earlier in the first half, but the resiliency of TFC2 after going down 15 seconds into the game off a terrible own goal to be able to come back with such momentum was just great for them. Chantal Blais is with the man of the match. It's Rashawn Phillip, 2 goals this afternoon. Chantal.
Thanks, Matt. Rashawn, first USL start, 2 goals. How does that feel?
I think it feels very great. Like, I was very confident in the whole game to play. I think it's a good start for me right now.
And how important was getting this win before hitting the road for your final 4 games?
I think it's a good confidence builder for the next game, and you should just carry on to the next game.
Well, congratulations. Thanks, guys. Back to you, Matt and Terry.
Thank you, Chantel. That's a very happy young man, Rashawn Phillip. His first ever professional start, and he's got himself a brace, 2 goals, and including the game winner, a phenomenal performance from Rashawn Phillip and for TFC2. It's a 3-2 victory. They will head out on the road for 4 games to wrap up their inaugural USL campaign. For Chantel Blais and Terry Dunfield, I'm Matt DiNicolantonio. It's a 3-2 final from Toronto. Have an excellent Saturday evening. Enjoy your long weekend, Toronto. Thank you for joining us. Good night from Toronto.